Xilonen is the new Geo character that somehow is not only good but kinda meta-defining. So definitely deserves the best and only the best. So let's build her. So let's get started with her talents. If this is a wall of text, this is the Great Wall of China. Now, xilonen is so goated for two reasons. Very much like another character we know and love, resistance shred and damage bonus. And the highlight of her kit that makes all this magic happen is her skill. So let's start with it. Now I can imagine that attempting to read this whole rap sheet may be giving you a brain seizure, so I'll summarize it for you. Basically, once you activate her skill, you get two things. These triangles and a bar. Now unlike Molani, this bar starts off empty and not full, and you need to make it full. Basically, for every triangle this bar reaches, it gives you resistance shred. The color of the triangles represent the element whose resistance is being shredded, and it changes based on the other characters in your team comp. If you have no other characters there or only Geo characters, all three of them will be Geo. But as you start changing or adding other element characters, they'll change color to represent those elements. Now how this works is to get the bar to the level of these triangles to make them do their thing. The resistance shred. Now how will you do that? Thankfully, she already starts off with 45 Night Soul points preoccupied, so at least you'll always have that first stack. What about the rest of them? Well, that's where this passive comes in play. With this passive talent, whose name I swear to God I could not pronounce for the life of me, allows Xilonen to get 35 Night Soul points whenever her normal or plunge attack hits opponent while she's in her Night Soul's blessing state, and at least two of these triangles have their colors changed. Simply put, if you have two different element characters in your party, you can make use of this passive to get all your Night Soul points and fill up this bar quite easily just by spamming normal attacks after using her skill. This also triggers every 0.1 second, so just about guaranteed to work. Oh, and in case you don't have other element characters, it just gives you 30% normal and plunge attack damage bonus. So what you have to do is just cast a skill and then spam normal attacks like twice and you're good to go. Switch to your DPS and destroy them. Now moving on to her burst, like that passive talent, has two different effects. In this situation with two other element characters, she deals some damage and then heals the active character. In the other case, she can deal continuous Geo damage. Her other passive talent makes it so whenever her Night Soul points are maximized, she will trigger an effect like her Night Soul burst. What is a Night Soul burst? It's a natlan thing, you'll understand once we get to the artifact. Also, whenever any other party member triggers this Night Soul burst, Xilonen's defense is increased by 20%. All those defense artifacts that you discarded like trash just became gold. Yeah, I know, I cried too. So Xilonen actually scales on defense, true for both her personal damage and healing. Only her resistance shred is locked at 36% at talent level 10, which in my opinion is pretty good. So yeah, moving on to her artifacts, the go-to set for Xilonen is without a doubt the new hero set. You can read the full name for yourself if you like. This set is goated, insanely goated for almost any support as long as they hail from Natlan. On this set with 2-piece, whenever a nearby party member triggers a Night Soul burst, the equipping character gets 6 elemental particles. Nice for energy recharge. But the best part, with the 4-piece bonus, whenever the equipping character triggers an elemental reaction, all party members gain 12% damage bonus for all the elements involved in the reaction. And the best part, if the equipping character is in their Night Soul's blessing state, the party gets an additional 28% damage bonus, so 40% in total. Now before moving on, just to shed some light on these things, a Night Soul's burst is basically something that is triggered anytime any Natlan character deals elemental damage. It is represented by this thing popping up, so if you see this happen, congrats, you just landed a Night Soul burst. It literally doesn't do anything else. A Night Soul's blessing state is whenever you have this glow around your Natlan characters. It basically happens when they're using their skills, so essentially if you do any elemental damage while using your skill, you'll trigger this effect. Skill. Remember something? This just goes hand in hand with Xilonen's kit, which heavily revolves around her skill. Cast her skill and crystallize whatever element your DPS is, do 2 normal attacks to shred resistance, and switch and destroy. If you don't have good artifacts from this set, I still recommend you running it regardless, because the benefit from the 4-piece is just that great. Now for the stats you're looking for, just stack as much defense as you can while maintaining very decent energy recharge as well. Her burst has a low energy cost of 60, so it's not that hard to manage. Building Xilonen is actually quite easy and straightforward. You don't need to worry about anything, just stack defense with some energy recharge. So go for defense and energy recharge on the substats on your flower and plume, and defense main stats sand and goblet, and healing bonus circlet with defense and ER substats. And that is all you need to do for her artifacts. For her talents, obviously, her skill is your priority. Level it up as high as you can and then move on to her burst. And unless you want to play her as DPS sometimes, you can fully ignore normal attack. Now moving on to her weapon, like with most 5 stars, her signature is her best in slot. It gives you a shit ton of defense, and the passive is just chef's kiss. Gives your whole party up to extra 25% damage bonus and more defense and damage bonus to xilonen herself. But we mustn't forget the weapon banner is a scam. So yeah, unless you have godly luck over there, just don't. Please don't. He also has a great free-to-play option as the new craftable weapon, whatever this thing's pronounced, as it gives you a lot of defense, but that's it. Favonius is also a decent choice, but I don't favor it that much because it needs you to have crit rate on your xilonen to be of any use, which just makes building her a bit more complicated, so I just prefer to go for the Flute of Epitzel. And finally, her constellations. So this is a build guide, not a poll value analysis, but let's take a look at them anyway. C1, not so great. It helps out a bit in exploration as it decreases your phlogiston consumption a bit, as well as increase our in time for the Night Soul's Blessing. Basically, you'll be able to do this for a longer time. It's good for DPS, but we don't do xilonen DPS. Our C2, that's pretty cool. This one has some Archon energy with a broken C2. Remember the triangles? With the C2 activated, the Geo triangle will just stay active all the time. Nice. But even better is based on the other elements in the party, you'll get a wide range of buffs. More damage with Geo, more attack with Pyro, HP with Hydro, crit damage with Cryo, and energy with Electro. Pretty solid C2 overall. C3 and 5 talent levels as usual, with C3 being for the skill. C4 gives normal charge and plunge attack damage bonus, scaling off of Xilonen's defense to all the party members for 15 seconds or 6 attack. Very decent at best. C6, another wall of text, basically just increases her personal damage and provides some extra healing. Majority of you will stop at C0 anyway, and I wouldn't recommend going C6 myself as well. Her C2 is a nice stopping point if you want to go for constellations. And finally, her team comps. Look, much like Kazuha, the list is kinda endless here. Since she shreds resistance, she would be good on just about any team comp. Niveled, Arlecchino, Hu Tao, Ayaka, Mualani, any DPS will benefit from her. However, there are situations where you can use her in place or along with Kazuha to get the most benefit. In a Niveled team comp, especially with Furina, you can run both Kazuha and xilonen together to get the maximum damage. Xilonen also has excellent compatibility with Furina. With her ability to heal, though only the active character, she can help Furina get fanfare points that much faster. She is by far the best support at the moment for Mualani. Simply because of how cracked the new hero set is, people were actually using Kachina just for the benefit of the set in this team before. Xilonen is just a massive upgrade. She also fixes one major problem I personally had with Mualani. Because I run her without a shielder, my Mualani was just taking a shit ton of damage. So Xilonen with the ability to heal is just the best utility for her right now. So yeah, to summarize this, you can put Xilonen in almost any team comp in this game and benefit from the kit, with the only exception being Anemo and Dendro. Yeah, sadly these two elements don't react with Geo, so Xilonen can't do much for them, though you can also use her in Geo teams, as she does buff Geo. So if you enjoy Geo teams, you can do that too. And that was everything I had for Xilonen. Thanks a lot for watching, and I wish you good luck building your Xilonen. I tried to make this as short and fast as possible to make a short, meaningful guide, but if I've missed anything or if you have any doubt, please reach out to me in comments. Leave a like if you found this video helpful, and subscribe to help me make more videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.